Hi guys, welcome back to my channel for another fairy tale. This is 1890. Please subscribe and hit that like button when I can speak. It really helps. Thank you very much. So this one is called Mr. Fox. Lady Mary was young, and Lady Mary was fair. She had two brothers, and more lovers than she could count. But of them all, the bravest and most gallant was Mr. Fox. No one knew who Mr. Fox was, but he was certainly brave and surely rich, and of all her lovers, Lady Mary cared for him alone. At last it was agreed upon between them that they should be married. Lady Mary asked Mr. Fox where they should live, and he described to her his castle and where it was, but he did not ask her or her brothers to come and see it. So one day near the wedding, when her brothers were out, Lady Mary set off with Mr. Fox. She wanted to see Mr. Fox's castle, and so he was going to take her, of course. And after many searchings, she came to it, and a fine strong house it was, with high walls and a deep moat. And when she came up to the gateway, she saw written on it, "Be bold, be bold." Then, as the gate was open, she went through it, and found no one there. So she went up to the doorway, and over it found written, be bold, but not too bold. Still she went on, till she came into the hall, and went up the broad stairs, till she came to a door in the gallery, which over it was written, be bold, but not too bold, lest that your heart's blood should run cold. But Lady Mary was a brave one. She was, and she opened the door. And what do you think she saw? Why, bodies and skeletons of beautiful young ladies all stained with blood. So Lady Mary thought it was high time to get out of the horrid place. And she closed the door, went through the gallery, and was just going down the stairs and out of the hall, when who should she see through the window but Mr. Fox, dragging a beautiful young lady along from the gateway to the door. Lady Mary rushed downstairs and hid herself behind a cask, just in time, as Mr. Fox came in with the poor young lady. As he got near Lady Mary, Mr. Fox saw a diamond ring glittering on the finger of the young lady he was dragging, and he tried to pull it off, but it was tightly fixed, and it would not come off. So Mr. Fox cursed and swore, and drew his sword, raised it, and brought it down on the hand of the poor lady. The sword cut off the hand, which jumped up into the air, and fell, of all the places in the world, into Lady Mary's lap. Mr. Fox looked about a bit, but did not look behind the cask. So at last he went on, dragging the young lady up the stairs and into the bloody chamber. As soon as she heard him pass through the gallery, Lady Mary crept out of the door, down through the gateway, and ran home. Now, it happened that very next day the marriage contract of Lady Mary and Mr. Fox was to be signed, and there was a splendid breakfast before that. And when Mr. Fox was seated at the table opposite Lady Mary, he looked at her. "I'll pay you all this morning, my dear." "Yes," she said. "I had a bad night's rest last night. I had horrible dreams." "Dreams go by contraries." And Mr. Fox, "Tell us your dream." "I dreamed," said Lady Mary, "that I went yesterday to your castle, and I found it in the woods with high walls and a deep moat, and over the gateway was written, be bold, but it is not so." "No, it was not so," said Mr. Fox. "And when I came to the doorway, over it was written, be bold, but not too bold. It is not so." "Nor it was not so," said Mr. Fox. "And then I went upstairs and came to a gallery, and at the end of that gallery there was a door. And on this door was written, be bold, but not too bold, lest that your heart's blood should run cold. It is not so." "Nor it was not so," said Mr. Fox. And then I opened the door, and the room was filled with bodies and skeletons of poor dead women, all stained with their blood. "It is not so, nor it was not so, and God forbid it should be so," said Mr. Fox. Then I dreamed that I ran along the gallery, and just as I was going down the stairs I saw you, Mr. Fox, coming up the hall door, dragging after a young lady, rich and beautiful. She was rich and beautiful. You were dragging this young lady. "It is not so, nor it was not so, and God forbid it should be so," said Mr. Fox. I went down the stairs and hid myself behind a cask, when you, Mr. Fox, came in, dragging the young lady by the arm. And as you passed me, Mr. Fox, I thought I saw you try and get a diamond ring from her finger, and when you could not, Mr. Fox, it seemed to me in my dream that you, out with your sword, hacked off the poor lady's hand to get that ring. "It is not so, nor it was not so, and God forbid it should be so," said Mr. Fox. "But it is so, and it was so. Here's hand and ring I have to show." And Lady Mary pulled out the lady's hand from her dress and pointed it straight at Mr. Fox. At once her brothers drew their swords and cut Mr. Fox into 1,000 pieces. The end. I hope you enjoyed that. That was the tale of Mr. Fox, 1890. Many